Hey, this is Buck Rock and Roll Zumhofe, and I'm telling you, if you want to find out more about wrestling, it's in your head, online.com. So pay attention.
All right, and we're back with Rock and Roll Buck Zumhofe. Welcome to In Your Head.
Well, hey, it's great to be on the radio and great to talk to you guys. And, of course, all the great wrestling fans.
What have you been up to?
Well, you know, here's the problem. If it is a problem, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So a few years ago, when the WWE decided that, you know, I was ready for the pasture, my daughter, who was a big personality in my company, we started rock and roll wrestling. Well, of course, the first year it was a Saturday here and a Saturday there and a Sunday here and a Sunday there. But in the last 7-8 years now, we haven't had a weekend off, including 4th of July, 5th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and Halloween. We wrestle on them all.
Excellent. Now, what is it about, like, the wrestling business that, you know, keeps you in it for so long? What do you love about it?
Well, first of all, I'm not 62, so I can't get rocking chair money yet. Well, that's the funny version. But there's no love for this business. I don't know if there's many guys out there that enjoy it and love it as much as I must. My daughter and I usually Tuesday, Wednesday, all day we're calling VFW, American Legion. Well, of course, there's a number of venues that do call us, but we try to keep busy every weekend, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Friday we leave. We have a little bit of a ring crew, so I have to be out there and supervising. So I actually, more or less, help put up the staging and the sound, lights, and all of that. So that's every Friday, every Saturday, and occasional Sunday. So I must either love this business or I'm crazy. Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah. And
so for that reason, yeah, why do I do it? Hey, I still love the applaud. I'm not going to talk good about anybody or talk bad about anybody. I started about a year later than Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was trained exactly from the same trainers, the same boat, the same business, the same ride as Ric Flair. He's from Minnesota, so am I. He went to Greg Gagne's School of Wrestling, Vern Gagne's School of Wrestling. So did I. He went out, when he started, he went to Portland, he went to California, he went to Vancouver, he went to Hawaii. He finally ended up, you know, down south down there, where he got his big break and became Ric Flair and famous. I kind of stayed out on the West Coast, and I became rock and roll out in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1977. So Ric Flair's on the road all the time, honky-tonk. Man, there's lots of guys out there that, including me, we should hang up our boots, but there's something about it that keeps us going from day to day, weekend to weekend.
Yeah. Now, how hard was it training with Vern Gagne?
Well, that's something when I explain it to people, they don't actually even believe you or me or anybody. The deal was in those days opposite today. Opposite today is that you have some guy out there who advertises that he's training professional wrestlers. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if the guy pays his money, $3,000 or $5,000 or who knows, he will become a wrestler. Can I say horse shit?
Yeah, you can say anything you want on here.
Right. He will become a wrestler if he pays his money. I didn't say pays his dues. I said he pays his money. And that, for that reason, there's a bit of appearance of a lot of horse shit wrestlers who didn't pay their dues. Now, when I went to camp, Vern Gagne could care less if you made it or if you did not make it. He was into the true athlete. Ricky Steamboat was in the training camp with me. Scott Hogg Irwin, bless his soul, he left us already, the big ring in the sky. And a kid called Jan Nelson also is in the big ring in the sky. So all that's left is Ricky Steamboat and myself. Mm-hmm. And if you ask Ricky Steamboat, he will tell you the same thing. We did always 500 sit-ups, 500 squats, 500 of this, and 500 of that. And we ran endlessly, and they beat the dog crap out of us, you know, for shits and giggles, just to see if you could cut it. You know, because the money didn't mean nothing to Vern Gagne. It isn't like I said, nowadays you got these backyard promoters and stuff, they're just out for money, and they don't care who they trade in. It's too bad. Mm-hmm. But that's just the way it is. It's rockandrollwrestling.com.
Yeah, and I'll have the link right on the website so everybody can...
Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you. But anyway, yes, the big deal was a couple of things. First of all, I brought my radio as part of I'm rock and roll, I'm a dancing fool, I need the people's incentive to chant rock and roll to keep me motivated. So I am, not that it matters to me, but I am the first person to bring any kind of music into any kind of wrestling. Nobody had a song. Nobody had, when you hear this song, you know it's Hulk Hogan. When you hear this song, you know it's The Undertaker. When you hear this song, there was none of that. Mm-hmm. So I guess if there's any kind of credit for that, when I'm dead, I suppose they're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember when rock and roll brought his radio to the television show.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now let's get to that. Now, the radio is my heart and soul. It's my blood pumping, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when Bobby Heenan snatched the radio during a tag team match with Tito Santana and myself, which is on the YouTube, that was the big deal. Boy, they broke my radio. I literally was on TV crying for the revenge I'm going to kill Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of the big deals, so that would be actually second. First of all was the radio and bringing it on the TV. People never seen anything like it. I even take credit for pro football. They never had music. Hockey never had music. Basketball never had music. I think everybody copied it from wrestling, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple big deals. And then Vern Gagne, and I'm glad about it, because I am only 5'11". At that, I'm about 235 pounds now. But I was only about 210 pounds then. So somebody came up and said, hey, let's bring in that Cruiser Championship belt. Well, that was right in my line at 210 pounds. I don't know. Now, there's two Steve Regals.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Steve Regal who I used to wrestle regularly for the lightweight champion, and then there's a Steve Regal who wrestled in the WWF. So I'm talking about the earlier one.
Right, not the British one. Yeah.
Right, Mr. Electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So him and I, we had the feud going on, and even Bobby Heenan, who probably was around 220, 230 pounds, he would get on the microphone every now and then and say, hey, I'm going to be in Winnipeg, I'm going to be in Chicago, I'm going to be in Green Bay, I'll wrestle Buck Zumhofe for that championship belt. So there was that little bit going on. The kid from Florida, Mike Graham.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Him and I, we tangle for that buckle every now and then. I actually went down to Florida. He came back up here. We went back and forth. So it was a good money deal. And plus, hey, it was good. It was fun to, to shoot back and forth. I wrestled these guys in Denver. And like I said, you guys out on the East Coast, Vern didn't tickle that often until the very end. That's why, not that I didn't want to, but I was only to Atlantic City a handful of times. And, most of the major cities, like New York and the Meadowlands. Mm-hmm. We were there a couple times, too, But my popularity, unfortunately, it's in the Midwest and out West. And like I said, I did a Japan tour many times. I've been to Hawaii, I don't know how many times. And then when we did wrestle for the Von Erichs, let's jump to that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me?
Oh, yeah.
Going to sleep?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay, I hate when people sleep.
No.
It's like a preacher. Anyway, so I hooked up with Iceman King Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
And then we beat the Long Riders at Texas Stadium the same day when Ric Flair was out there and wrestled Kerry Von Erich. And then Kerry Von Erich won the belt, and we won the belt, and it was a big day for Texas Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there for a couple of years. And then when I came back, I don't know, 80, 85, 86, 87, well, then AWA and along with about 100 other wrestling operations across the country all started going down the toilet. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Vince kind of took over. And then even the AWA, I worked for Vern on and off. I worked independent. We still did the Germany and the Japan stuff as much as I could. But Vince was interested. Vince was not interested in guys 5'11" and 220 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Vince was interested in the big boys, which is all right. I don't care. So then there was a couple of years where it actually was kind of quiet for old rock and roll. I kind of loped around and did a little rodeo one summer and this and that. And then, well, the true love is still wrestling. But I guess entertainment is in me. Shit. I was in Vegas. I was up on the stage. I told dirty jokes and sang horrible songs. And so I've had my fingers in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So finally, I came back and I said, you know, I'm too young. I sure as heck I can't go back into the labor force. I've never had a job in my whole life like where I got a paycheck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the guys are that way, I guess. So we got ourselves a wrestling ring, and my daughter and she needed a girl to wrestle, so we lined up a bunch of lady wrestlers, and then we decided if we wanted to have our wrestling, this is not everybody's wrestling, our wrestling. If we wanted to have it a little more on the entertainment side, we got to get a hold of some midgets.
Definitely. Can't go wrong with midgets.
Oh, heck yeah. You know, so now we have a couple beautiful girls. We got rock and roll Buck Zumhofe and a whole slug of wrestlers. We got a little Jay North. Actually, he was the leprechaun before Vince's leprechaun. I even think he stole him from us.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the hell he was called, I can't remember. But we have a Jay North, the leprechaun. He wears a leprechaun suit. He throws the beads out. We have two real cute, big boobies, midget girls. Mm-hmm. And they sell tickets like crazy. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's true.
Yeah.
We have our two midget ladies. They wrestle with us every Friday and every Saturday. Now, you got to remember, we do not go to the same place twice. We only wrestle in one venue once a year. So for that reason, you know, we can keep our little midgets going all the time. We are two little gals. I don't think they've had a weekend off in about 2 years. I know it. It's unbelievable. We are happy. We're trying to be a little modest. I'm not running against Vince, and I'm not running against TNA, and I'm not running against every backyard wrestler that there is in the United States. I don't know where everybody else wrestles. I don't care where everybody else wrestles. I'm only concerned about rock and roll wrestling, where we go, and what we do, and the bottom line, how much money we make. And that is all.
Van's on the line.
Hey, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any thoughts or memories of working with Larry Nelson.
Absolutely. He used to work out of Minneapolis, and of course he's a radio DJ on the side when he wasn't doing the wrestling announcements. Very, very wonderful man. I don't know now, but he used to party with us. I'm telling you, we were up in Winnipeg in different places, and I guess the most polite thing to say is the ladies were at the shows, and we used to dance with them all and drink and party, and you bet. He's a good friend of mine, and I think he's in Denver now. And, well, of course, we don't get together. Occasionally I talk to just about every wrestler in the month of December. I try to call up everybody that's still alive and wish them a happy holiday. So that's usually when I talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for calling in, Van.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
We had Larry Nelson on the show not too long ago.
No kidding. He's a good old boy.
Yeah, very good. Do you find that maybe some of the younger people recognize you more since they've been showing the AWA Classics on ESPN Classics?
Yeah and no, a little bit there, but I have about, now you got to remember, I told you this earlier, in the world of wrestling, we're just kind of a little small minor league, but nevertheless, we have 200 to 300, I don't think they're the same people, we have 200 to 300 people that look at our internet, at our site, every day. So what's happening is I'm getting lots and lots of mail again from people who send me a picture. Well, I got a picture here from like a rookie picture somebody must have dug up from like 1975 or 1976. Yeah. It actually had Steamboat and I putting a hammerlock or something on each other. Steamboat's got these big sideburns and looks like Elvis Presley, and we both look pretty funny. You know, we're skinny and we haven't got no pipes or anything. But somebody dug it out, they sent it to me, and they'd asked to autograph it, so I autographed it. It had a self-stamped Avenue, so I put it back in the package and sent it right back. So I don't know. I think it's the two. I think it's the TV is always good, but I'm really into that Internet. I got all kinds of, fun, silly crap on there.